views and opinions expressed on the Big Llama Show are those of the host and guest. They do not reflect that of our sponsors, advertisers, or employers. Enjoy the show.
It's in the she ruckus. Dead beat, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. You ain't a killer, boy, stop. I hear you yelling stacks on deck, boys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Big Llama Show. I'm the Big Llama. So happy to have you here, and I couldn't do this show without my partner in crime, Mr. Blackout AD. What's up, Blackout?
What's going on, brother? Another day, another Sunday. Beautiful day for a podcast.
Beautiful day, beautiful day. For those of you who are new, we are live. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Hit us up in the comments. We will respond. Before we start, we always start this off by thanking all of our subscribers. I mean, we're growing week to week. So I think the count was 110, 111 last week. We're at 116 as of today. Every single week, the subscriber count goes up. We are so excited that that keeps happening. And as a result of our subscribers going up, we continue to try new things and explore new things. We're going to have a huge announcement in just a moment. We're going to have I am very excited. I've been pumped for this announcement for, the last couple of days that I let you in on it.
Yep.
Big news for the show. Now, for those of you watching this live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, hit us up in the comments. We will definitely put the comments on the screen. We will read them out to our viewers, and we will respond and interact. So if there's any questions, anything you want to talk about, AD and I will definitely respond and react. That's what makes this show amazing, is that we're able to react with our subscribers. All right. Without further ado, let's get into the big news. All right. The huge news. I wish I had a drum roll. I wish I had sound effects. There we go. Now, I sort of gave you guys a hint in the new intro. Hopefully you like the new intro. It's very professional. We up the quality of our broadcast every week. I hope you guys see that we do pour a lot of time and effort into this effort. Now, the big news, and the reason that I'm very excited, AD, I know you're excited. The Big Llama Show has gone global. We're going to the podcast as well. The Sunday Night Live episodes that we record every Sunday live with you, the subscribers, is going to be available on podcasts on Spotify, Google Podcasts, podcast feeds. There's 5 different versions or 5 different sources you can get this podcast. We would recommend that you go to Spotify or Anchor, and you can find our podcast. Just look at the Big Llama Show podcast. I mean, this to me is huge.
It just shows that we've been growing, The fact that when you sent me this, I was like, man, it's becoming even more real than, it felt real every Sunday we do this for how many weeks now? It's been quite a while, a couple months.
It's been, I know, because I'm cataloging the episodes. So the old episodes of the Big Llama Show will be available on the podcast shortly. But yeah, I think it's been at least 10 weeks that we've been doing it. So
yeah, man.
We've had 10 episodes so far.
This is a huge step in the right direction. You know what I mean? We're actually building something here, and it's super dope. For sure. And you might have, again, that's part of the reason that I hinted to people who are just tuning in. The new introduction flows into our podcast. So we're trying to incorporate everything because efficiency is the key here. We don't want to be editing for the podcast, for the live show, and then for YouTube. We want to make it one simultaneous edit. And so for us, that's what we're trying to do and incorporate. But this is huge for us. Again, now you can support the podcast or the channel
Now, if you go to listen to it on Spotify, it is free. But there is a support button there, and if you'd like to donate to the Big Llama Show, you can. Obviously, at this time, YouTube, we're not monetized, so we're not able to accept super chats or donations or anything like that.
Yeah.
And we haven't hit our numbers on Twitch either. So this is one way you can support the show. The most organic and easiest and cheapest way you can support the show is by hitting that subscribe button on YouTube. Help us get that subscriber count up. But again, the Big Llama Show podcast is live. It's available. And we're going to have supplemental material there. If we have any interviews or side interviews, if we have anything other than the Sunday night, we may be able to put it into our podcast as well. I checked it out. I have to admit, I listened to my own podcast for.
I listened to it the first day as well.
And what I've noticed is that the channel, the quality of this particular Sunday night show has grown since episode 1. I mean,
yeah.
Episode 1, we're getting our feet wet. Episode 2, we find our stride. Then we get into Loki for 6 episodes, which were entertaining and fun. And then the last 2 have been just fun, just a lot of fun. Not knowing exactly where we're going with it, but we have a lot of fun with it. So
we're expanding on our topics and actually growing as like quote unquote podcasters.
For sure. So if you hear me using my podcast voice, it's I'm trying to actually I'll be the same guy. I mean, but I did notice that my voice goes up and down, so I'm trying to regulate my microphone. But anyway, that's the new world of the podcast. I'm very excited. So
I do have a question. Podcast. When is it gonna be uploaded the day after the show, or how are we gonna do that?
So because I'm team no sleep. Immediately following this broadcast, I will upload the Sunday night podcast. So it's available for you late Sunday nights if you want it, or first thing Monday morning when you get up in the morning. If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your way to work. So definitely by Monday at the very latest, the podcast will be up with our Sunday night show with all the highlights and everything. So
yeah, man.
So excellent. I'm over the moon on this one. I can't tell you enough how big this is for me, and for you, AD. I mean, we're so for those of you again who haven't been following us on Sunday nights, we talk about this journey. We talk about how we're growing and how we get better and better at the show, and how we love to engage the audience. And again, we're growing. But listen, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We got some other announcements.
Yep.
So the podcast is going. We're going to talk more about that. But we have other things in the hopper. So coming soon to the Big Llama Show. We have a very special back to school special, an interview with Mama Llama. Who is also in charge of Wrigley Roo Designs, who does the shirts for me. Special interview with Mama Llama for back to school. It will be actually broadcast live tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Now, it is pre-recorded. We're not going to be able to interact. But we spent a good 30 to 40 minutes just talking about back to school. So it's something for parents out there who are anxious about COVID and going back to school. I think it's a very uplifting interview that really just talks about the positives about going back to school. And again, you get to meet Mama Llama in the flesh. So don't miss it. And if you do miss it, it'll be on a replay for sure. But yeah, I was excited about that, man. That was actually a lot of fun to do. I mean, she was she actually gave me some grief about not putting her on the show earlier. She actually says it in and I'm gonna leave it in the interview. She says it. She's like, "Well, finally, I'm in the chair with you." And
we got to bring her on a Sunday night whenever she gets us some time. I know you said it was like too late.
Yeah, Sunday night when it's not a school night, right? She'll be on, but yeah, no, she's awesome. And again, I'm really, really excited about that. And we do have something for next week.
Yep.
Next week, live in studio, sitting in here with me, the Big Llama. We've got SINA SRE, the guy who does all my music, the most awesome and generous artist I've met. to just he is the reason I'm doing this again. It's a payback to him. I want to say thank you to him. I don't know if he's recording music or not. I don't know where he is in his recording career right now, but I do want to just bring him on and tell him thank you. Now, we're going to focus a lot with him, obviously, on hip hop music and hip hop culture. So, and the dude is a giant sneakerhead. I mean, I mean, he does custom sneakers. So if you want to bring your sneaker, questions and, or you want to talk about different music and genres, that's going to be the show for us next week. So he's going to be in studio. I'm excited for this.
Wait, he actually does like designs custom? Like he does like, what would it be, like a painting on it or what?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a design that you were looking for, and maybe I'll ask him to send me a couple of samples or send me some pics.
Some pics we could put on the screen as well.
Yeah. He did this nice Jordan cleat for his son. I mean, baseball cleats.
Yeah.
With this nice, crazy design that matched his son's uniform and everything. Man, and he told me, he said, "Hey, man, I do you a favor. I'll do one for you." And I never took him up on that, but I think I'm going to, man. I just gotta get some white sneakers so he can.
You gotta get the big llama on it.
Oh man, that's what I need. That's what I need.
That'd be sick, man. This guy seems like an artist through and through, to be honest.
Yeah,
from everything I hear.
What's funny is what happens is life happens, right? You grow and you get responsibilities, and so sometimes chasing your dreams isn't always practical.
Yeah.
So this guy was chasing his dreams. I mean, he recorded music, he toured. He's I think he did a show with KRS-One, which to me is like the mecca of hip hop. I mean, so this guy, now again, whether or not he can pursue it full time because he does have a family and a kid and has to do the fatherly things. I don't know. Sometimes you can't have it all, but that's what I want to get into in the discussions with him, is to talk to him about sort of what his what his aspirations were and what they are still, and what he wants to do for the future. Because who knows, he may still have it in him, and he may want to, hey, if he wants the big llama on a cover, man, I can sing the hell out of a hook.
Big llama sings.
Oh God. Nobody wants that. I think they turned it off, man. All right, so that's for us next week. We got a full lineup. Tomorrow we got a live broadcast that we're going to put out, and next week, live in studio. SINA's going to be here again. Very, very excited. All right, now let's talk about what the Big Llama Show has put out this week. This is just a sample of the stuff that I put out this week. So there are 6 to 7 days in the week. I put out, I think, 6 or 7 topics or items. So this isn't all of them. This is just some of it. So, guys, if you are interested in movie reviews, trailer reviews, music reviews, because I think I did one with the Little Llama for Lil Wayne and KSI's new song Blues. Check it out. Go on the channel, surf around. There's something for everybody. I know I become quite a product reviewer. I did a follow-up to my Nakamichi sound system review, and that's on right now. But that one has the most hits. I think I have almost 1,200 hits on that video alone. Just people asking me questions, and I
feel like tech is pretty big in like the YouTube world. Like reviewing tech, it seems like a good play.
Yeah, I mean, I here's what I do, and this is why I love the channel. I do what I feel is in my brain, right? So the back to school thing with Mama Llama was just in my head. I said, you know what? I want to do that. Let's do it. So I don't like to get pinned down to a certain genre, but as you can see, I focus a lot on movies and trailers, and I'm expanding little by little. But hey, if you're interested in that, please check out the channel. Let me know what you think there. All right, man. So how's been your week, man? How's it been going?
It's been a really good week, man. I streamed about like 50 plus hours in the last month. This week I streamed about 20, and I think I'm going to consistently do 20 to 25 hours a week. Try to get, something like 2 hours a day. Just try to keep content flowing. I put a clip on TikTok, had like 300 views. One on Twitter was like 400 views. So like I put a lot of content out this week. So I felt really good about this week. I was excited to come here, have another episode. And then you hit me with the podcast thing right after I got out of work. And I was so excited. I was like, man, it really seems like what we're building here is becoming something. And I don't think when we first started interacting and talking about these ideas, I didn't think we were going to get this far. I mean, like you said, 10 episodes, 10 weeks. That's quite a feat. Most podcasts don't get past 5, 6.
Yeah. I mean, listen, to me, it's a fairy tale story, right? It's by chance. And so if we haven't told people the story, it's pretty simple. It's a text, right? Hey, you're doing your show. Let's do a live one together. Or let's do a review together. Yeah. And it just grew from there. And to me, it's every week, like I said, every single week, I'm constantly thinking of, okay, how do I make the show better? How do we add new, either new things or new items? How do we make it viable? How do we make it entertaining? And to me, I love the contrast in the perspective. I know you and I are similar. Yeah. And we share similar views on some things, but we're from two different generations. Generations. So while I may think I am pretty hip for my age, right? And that right there should show you I'm not hip. We have a hugely different way of looking at the world, and so that's what makes this show very intriguing and very fun to do. Because I'm always sort of curious, like I wonder if he knows about this, or I wonder if he's heard about that, and so. You surprise me sometimes where you know exactly what I'm talking about. Other times I'm like, oh man, maybe I went over his head on that. But but again, this organically is growing, and I think this is how it should feel when you're growing something, right? Yeah. Egos aside and channels aside, we're just trying to grow a brand and a logo, and we're just trying to make it run. Now you've got Blackout, I've got the Big Llama. It's one and the same now because we're constantly moving forward. Now you've got
when you look up you go on Blackout when you look up Blackout AD on YouTube, you just see every episode of the Big Llama show. And I'm like, that's pretty sick, to be honest, because obviously it's not my YouTube channel. So like I would expect to see the stuff I posted, but I just see our stuff more. And I'm like, man, that's dope, because this is probably out of all the content I've been making, especially like gaming and stuff. I love gaming. But I always say every week, like, this is what I want to do. I want to sit and talk. So, like, having this with you, and like you said, we have a good dynamic, and there's good perspective on stuff. Because even, like, with the Marvel stuff, you're more of, like, the casual side, and I'm more of, like, the person that digs deep. And I think we just one hand washes the other when it comes to the show.
Oh, for sure. And like I said, the great thing is, you're right. The perspective is different. I 20 years ago, yes, I was in your shoes. I knew a lot more about, the movies. I was in tune to things because I had more time for that. But now, as I grow and have a family and do different things, it takes me out of it. But I still love this stuff. So it's great. It's great because, again, I always tell people, it's like, I don't claim to know everything. I know a little bit, right? And I can get by in the world, but I'm definitely not an expert on anything. I love to give credit where credit is due. If I read it on somewhere or someone some video, we give that credit, because I'm not going to sit here and claim that I know what Easter egg this is or what that is. I mean, hell, I may know some things, but not all things. But all right, let's do this. Let's get right into. I haven't heard from anybody on our chat, so if anybody wants to chime in, you can. But here's a spoiler warning. We're about to go into discussing the Suicide Squad, the James Gunn release. I mean, the masterpiece that is the Suicide Squad. We're about to go into it. So please, if you're listening to this on the podcast, if you're watching this live or on the replay on YouTube, please turn it off now if you don't want Suicide Squad.
Hit the like button and then turn it off.
Right. Hit the like button first. Subscribe, donate, do all these things first, and then turn it off. And then once you've watched it, come back to the show and watch the rest of it.
You won't have to like it again. You won't have to subscribe again. You'll be done with that. You just get it done now.
Right. Well, you could always smash the likes on everything. So, but no. Honestly, we don't want to be that guy. Don't be that guy. The guy who I hate every week, but don't be that guy. Now, you know me, and you know I probably have a spoiler story, but this time around, first of all, before we get to spoiler talk, and we're going to talk right now about this movie, this masterpiece. But before we get to the actual discussion of the movie itself, I want to talk about HBO Max's. I don't know. I don't know if they're sabotaging James Gunn.
Yeah,
but they did something pretty sneaky, which I did not agree with, and I'm gonna see what your thoughts are on it. I was well prepared to watch this on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or people usually stay up till about 2:30 a.m. on Thursday, and they usually release it, and then you can watch it. And everyone's got their live streams and everything else, and their watch-alongs and everything, which is fine.
Yeah.
But HBO Max moved up the release to 7 p.m. on a Thursday, which to me,
I don't think. Just to get the point out,
yeah, no.
So I was out at my friend's house, and he cooked dinner. Him and his girl cooked dinner for me, and I was drinking a little bit, and I just looked up just randomly like movie times. I was feeling like going to the movies, and the movies were out by like 7. It was like 7. There was like a 7 showing, a 9 showing, and a 10 showing. So I think they just did it early, all across the board.
No, listen, and I know like the movie releases have been earlier and earlier. Like when a movie's released on a Friday, there's a guaranteed 7 p.m. show on a Thursday. There's a 9 p.m. and leading up to the midnight showing. It used to be only the midnight show on Thursday. Yeah. And I get it. People want the content and they want to get into it. What I have an issue with, my problem is that HBO took away the eagerness of a Thursday night release or going at midnight on a Friday. Like they took it, like for me, I contemplated going to the movies.
Yeah.
And what happened was I found out it was a Thursday night, 7 p.m. release. And I'm like, wow, all the family is home. We could check out this movie on Thursday night at 7 p.m. We can have dinner, watch the movie, and be done with it. And then it frees up my weekend.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I don't mind the at-home releases. I really don't, because I benefited from them. I've done it now for the Jungle Cruise and now this movie. And I've enjoyed both of them, but I just think it's a little underhanded. It undercuts the potential dollars of this. Now, this movie is magnificent. I mean, yeah. It's a brilliant movie, and it's going to be a shame that it won't show in the box office numbers. But,
do you feel like they maybe did some field research and that's why they released it early? Because this is the first movie that releases early on a Thursday, I think.
Yeah, no, I think it's HBO, in my opinion. HBO sort of saying we want more subscribers. We want more people to come see it because it is cheaper. Like honestly, here's the pro and the con. It's only $14 for the month. Right, if I subscribe right now, and me and 6 of my friends can go sit down and watch the movie. So
yeah.
Thursday night, if I'm there, we're hanging with my boys, and we're like, hey, "Dude, Suicide Squad just came out. I don't have HBO Max. It's only $14. If all of us went to the movies, it'd be at least $120, for all of us. All right, man, $14. Everyone cough it up, and we will sit down and watch the movie. So I don't know. I feel like those types of things hurt the movie in terms of its box office, but listen, the reviews for it were phenomenal. So
that's another thing too. Reviews the week leading up to the movie release were going pretty good. Like everybody was saying really good things about the movie, and of course we've seen it. And like we both said it like immediately when I was like, "Let's talk about Suicide Squad." You're like, "Great movie." I was like, "Fantastic film." So I mean,
yeah, no,
I can see where you're coming from, but I also just feel like maybe numbers dictated why they released a day early,
Yeah, I mean, somebody's making money off of this.
I for sure
would definitely say. I just feel like James Gunn could have had that $500 million, box office draw and
box office opening. Yeah,
right. I mean, it should have been $100 million opening. I think it's swimming around 25 to 30 or something like that. But they're saying a lot of it has to do with the at-home release, but it doesn't stop the movie's brilliance. So
no.
So let's get right to the spoiler discussion. Again, spoiler warning. We're going to talk about the Suicide Squad. If you have not watched it, now's your turn to like and subscribe first, then tune out. All right. So this movie benefits obviously from the last movie.
Not being so good.
Well, obviously not being so good, but not having to sort of explain what the Suicide Squad is.
I felt like they did really good with because within the first 3 minutes they explained the whole premise of the movie.
Yeah,
and I think it's exactly that. It just piggybacked off of the first Suicide Squad, so I agree with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, to me, so that was the brilliant part, was it didn't waste a lot of time getting you into the action. That you immediately met the characters, you immediately started in on the mission. What I found, refreshing was we went straight to the location. We went straight to where they were going to be, and that was it. There was no let's meet this, and there was some flashbacks, but we went straight into the world of the Suicide Squad, and it was glorious. That opening sequence, man, so many souls.
It was unexpected, but through the trailer, it seemed like that the first team that we see was the throwaway team. But I just thought it was brilliant how James Gunn did it, but how Amanda Waller in the movie used the first team as the B team just to lure out. It's almost like she knew Pete Davidson's character was gonna sell them out. I forgot his character's name, but that was hilarious. He's like, "Hey, it's me, the guy that called." And then, bro, when they literally, and the violence, we gotta say that up front. The violence was unexpected because the first Suicide Squad was not that bloody, not to this level at least.
No, it had its moments, the first one, but nothing like this.
Nothing like this, man. The dude's face gets blown off within 10 minutes of the movie being open, and then once his face goes down, everybody gets killed.
Listen, and this is the bad part, not bad part, but like me and my sons watched it, and we were laughing out loud.
Yeah,
the first sequence when they drop him into the site, the weasel drowns, and we're like, what? We're like, what the hell? We love that guy.
And the weasel dropped in confidently, he knew how to swim. He just dove in and then died.
The weasel went right in like he was ready. He said, "All right, I'm going." And what I love is sort of the setup for the joke. The joke was funny enough as it was because he drowns, but the guy's like, "Hey, did anyone bother to check if this guy could swim?" And then you hear him in the background of the monitors, drowning. You're like, first of all, I'm listening to somebody drown, but I'm dying. I'm dying, and that was your first hint that this wasn't going to go the way you thought it was.
Oh yeah,
because me and my sons were watching. We were like, "Wait a second, they killed the weasel? They killed him. He's dead." And they're like, "Yeah, he's dead. He's dead." I'm like, "Oh dear God, this is going to be amazing." And then Pete Davidson, obviously, he was the
Pete Davidson's him in the chopper when they said, "Is that a werewolf?" And he starts freaking out like, "Yo, get him away from me! Get him away from me!" That was hilarious. But yeah, man, they started the movie started with the bang.
Yeah.
We see what's the dude's name? TDK.
Oh God,
the detachable kid. He's like, I thought this was a brilliant line where he's like, your name is letters. He's like, all names are letters, dickhead.
I'm telling you, it was so good. It was so funny. And then TDK, my sons pointed at the screen and we're dying. They're like, they're shooting his arms, and the guy's falling on the ground, armless like this. Oh my God! But that was amazing. I was just so unexpected. We knew that characters were going to die. I don't think there was any surprise that we were going to lose characters. In fact, that's what the first movie screwed up in, right? They spent too much time with the characters, and then they killed one off randomly, quickly, and then a couple others died, and you're like, oh, okay, they're there to die. But like in this one, first before the credits roll,
Yep.
before the opening credits roll, you lost the squad.
The whole squad they set you up with in the first 5-10 minutes of the movie, they're gone. But I just thought it was good writing, and obviously, I mean, it was James Gunn. James Gunn does really well with these like quirky, not no name, but like lesser characters, and the humor he puts in. I think this is a perfect movie for him.
Yeah.
And we're gonna see. We'll talk about it at the end, but we're gonna see a little bit more with him and like the Peacemaker character, because I think he's gonna direct like 5 episodes of that. But like what he did with this movie was like they set you up. They let you know what the Suicide Squad is.
Right.
They kill them off, but they, you know what I mean. And then the transitions of like how like they use like the smoke, and it's like,
oh yeah,
8 minutes later, 10 minutes later, or like even on one of the toilets, it looked like somebody was cleaning a toilet, and it was like 3 days earlier.
Oh, that's right. 3 days earlier.
Yeah. I thought those transitions were beautiful, and like I really enjoyed how they didn't take time to set up too many characters. I think that's what the first one tried to do, was like maybe make you feel for the characters a little bit. Right. And I think they did that really well with the secondary team, but they did it in like a long play type of setting up. They didn't really like try to make you care about them immediately. They gave you a little backstory like here and there throughout the journey. I think that's where this movie like surpasses the first movie.
Yeah. Oh no. And you know what I think James Gunn wanted was those no-name characters, those obscure, because how else do you kill off so many characters rather than just get that no name, get that one off, get the get the Weasel, get TDK, get the Javelin. I mean, come on, these names were ridiculous. Characters were ridiculous, but in those small introductions, and I had heard another reviewer say it about the movie, is what he does so well is he and I think this was John Campia. He did on his review. He said that what James Gunn does is he anchors the characters in some emotional depth. Like there's some emotion or something that you absolutely can cling to, but with his comedy he helps disarm you. So like you felt bad about one character, and you felt bad because James Gunn set it up that way. He put that all together. But yeah, man, I mean, the comedy, the violence, and the emotional, that he put into it was just amazing. I mean, it was just such well done, so well done.
I think the first team dying off so quickly benefited the second team, because you didn't really have to kill the second team or harm that team until the end of the movie in the big battle. That's when you could maybe lose a couple lives, or you know what I mean? Like, so I think losing that first team really like benefited the core team, because then we get, like you said, the emotional building, even like the banter between John Cena and Idris Elba's characters, Peacemaker and what's Bloodsport, I believe his name is.
Yeah, Bloodsport. Yeah,
I think their banter was hilarious, especially within like first meeting them. Like they had the competition, or like the one-up competition when they're walking through the jail. He's like, I use smaller bullets. He's like, what?
Right. I'll kill him. I use smaller bullets. I got a better death rate. I mean, it's like, I mean, just awesome stuff. And then you've got Harley Quinn, right? Margot Robbie, probably the best performance as Harley Quinn that we've seen.
I feel like she's getting better as a character, and maybe it's just because she's playing it so often.
Yeah,
that like she's just growing into it. But like this movie really was like probably her best performance. I haven't seen Birds of Prey, but I didn't hear really too much. I don't think it was her that made the movie not that good. I think it was like everything around it, like the villain and stuff.
Yeah, I think they had an over-the-top villain or something that was.
I think this was like her
best McGregor, right?
Yeah, but I think he was like a lackluster villain, maybe.
Right. It just, you know what it was is it couldn't separate itself from the original Suicide Squad, and so you have this lingering hangover. And I think the look of that Birds of Prey movie was similar to the first one. This one, the aesthetic was way different. Yeah. You got a whole different look. The colors pop. It's very, very James Gunn. But he's no stranger to this type of movie. It's very similar to the Guardians, right? You take a B property for Marvel, because I trust me, Guardians of the Galaxy was nobody's A list.
No, and not even that team. That team right. of Guardians was like the B team of Guardians.
Right. There's other Guardians. That's how low on the food chain they are. There's so many different Guardians of the Galaxies. He did it with that. He took these. Now, the difference in that one, obviously, he's not killing them all off, but he made you love those characters, and that's his gift.
Do you think taking these like lesser characters is a little bit less pressure in making these movies?
Oh yeah. I mean, think about it. If he had to do Man of Steel, or if he had to do a Batman movie, right?
Yeah.
There was so much pressure with how the story should go, the tie-ins, the EU, the DCEU, all that stuff would just bog him down, and he couldn't make this type of movie. Yeah. He is well suited to do supporting work like this. Can he lead a franchise? I don't know. There's too many hands in the pot for a movie the way that he likes to make movies. So this works out perfectly. Take B-level characters that aren't a whole lot of value to the DCEU and do whatever the hell you want with them, and that's what you get. You get James Gunn's Suicide Squad. So, I mean, but let's keep talking about this, because we get the beach scene, right?
Yeah.
We lose Captain Boomerang.
we lost him in a horrific way.
Oh my God. Yeah.
He gets shredded by a chopper that just like explodes and then like comes behind him and just like shreds him. I was like, to be honest, he was one of my favorite characters from the first one. So seeing him back, I was kind of excited. But after they killed him, I kind of was like, it makes sense why they killed him. Like,
right, he'd be the third alpha in that wheel. Like,
exactly.
You've got, Rick Flag. You've got
the fourth alpha, really.
Right. Because you got Idris, you got John Cena. You'd have Captain Boomerang and Rick Flag. Like, okay, you got four guys who can take it and run with it.
Yeah.
Taking care of him was I think necessary, and it also gave you that unexpected punch, right? That this is going to be different. This is not what we thought it was, because he was a big player in the last one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that scene sort of breaks down. You've got Rick Flag and Harley Quinn left over. And Savant, Michael Rooker, you find out Amanda Waller's, coldness.
Yeah, they did the same thing they did with Slipknot and him trying to escape. But I thought it was hilarious because in the he's the one that Savant's the opening scene, and he's just kind of like sitting there. He seems like a tough guy, but he stays back on the beach and sees everybody dies. And he just starts screaming and just starts running towards the water and starts swimming away. And then that's when you see Amanda Waller's ruthlessness.
I mean, that to me, that was a perfect story for Amanda Waller. Like, okay, you think she was badass? Check this out. And then she does that cold-heartedly and just moves forward. And so later on, she tries to do the same thing, and you're believing she's going to do it.
Yeah.
So that's the small storyline, small story thing like that builds the tension later in the movie, and the believability. You say she might do that. She might take care of this other guy.
What I also think helped with that is like the reaction of like the people around her. They focus very heavily on like, even with Bloodsport's character, when they introduce him and like what happened, like how she ties him in there. One of the guys, and they focus on his reaction a lot throughout the movie when it comes to her, but like he looked disgusted, like, damn, like you would really harm this, you know what I mean? Like they used Bloodsport's daughter to get him to join, and he's like, damn, you would harm his daughter, you know what I mean? So like they built that anticipation of her being like a ruthless killer, and they did it kind of in the first one, but it wasn't to this level.
Right. I mean, then you find out about the B team, and then you realized what the real mission was and what was supposed to happen. And then again, you get such a character introduction to Peacemaker, John Cena, and Idris Elba's is it Bloodsport?
Bloodsport, yeah.
Bloodsport. And these dudes just wipe out a whole village, man. Like
in a they're over here like competing with each other, trying to kill these people, like just running through them. And like even the last one, Peacemaker shoots somebody like literally like this behind him, and Bloodsport's like, that's not a deadly shot. He's like, explosive bullet, and then you see the dude blow up. But I thought the funniest part was when they go, because they're trying to say Rick Flag at this point, and they open the door, and he's like, "You're having tea?" He's like, "Yeah, these guys are the resistance."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yo, why didn't my people alert me that you're here?" And they're like,
I did. We didn't hear.
I didn't see them. I didn't see them.
I mean that was like it was so funny. Like that part right there, we were cracking up. We were like, their facial expressions. There was nothing happening. It was just seeing what's left of the squad, just kind of looking at each other like, what are you gonna say? Like, you gonna tell them? We're gonna tell them? Like, and it was just so much fun. Like,
yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, is this the greatest DC movie ever made? I don't know. I don't think so. But it is a hell of a time, and it's just fun.
If it's not, it's like top 3 greatest DC movies so far, for sure.
It's up there. It's up there. And again, James Gunn, you know, he went overtime on that gore and violence, man, which was great. And somebody had said, somebody who did a review on it didn't appreciate the gore and violence. So it said it was too gratuitous, too much. I thought it was perfect for the mood of the movie, which is, this is a ridiculous movie. It's comedy, it's heart, it is violent, and they're gonna have fun with it. And so,
but not only that, these are villains. It's not like this is a Spider-Man movie where you kind of got to be semi-kid friendly. You could have darker theme. No, these are villains, and it's called the Suicide Squad. They're gonna die. You know what I mean? Like,
right. I mean that's the thing, is like, these are bad guys who do bad things, and so you have to remember that.
Yeah. I think people take it as it's a superhero in the category of a superhero movie, so they feel like they can bring their kids to. But this is not where you bring young kids to. Like, it's that gory.
Right. Now, again, I watched it with my kids, and so what we did was I did a little IMDb searching, and I did the parent guide, and the stuff that they said you need to look out for, I looked out for it, but it wasn't as bad as it was described at least in my eyes. Like, we've seen things, and we thought for sure we'd have to be turning it off, and that wasn't the case. The case. Now, I do want to talk about King Shark. Sylvester Stallone's character, King Shark, super funny. And then he has his own gory scene where it was in the trailer where he rips it in half. But my kids kept commenting, and they weren't even looking for it. They go, he just looks so good in terms of the CGI and everything.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything that you would expect him to look cartoonish and ridiculous. It's a freaking walking.
He looked better than Killer Croc from the first one. Killer Croc looked horrible.
Way better than that abomination. But
I like the direction they took King Shark, because in the comic book I feel like he's a little bit more serious, a little bit more like ruthless. But like, they turned him to almost the comedy relief. Him and Polka Dot Man, which I thought Polka Dot Man was. I didn't think I was gonna like him at all. He was like so weird and like pretty funny, and like how awkward he was.
Like, I couldn't get a read on Polka Dot Man, and so at first, and then, but I do like the actor. He was the best in Ant-Man.
Yeah.
With Baba Yaga or whatever he told those stories. He was in The Dark Knight, I think. He was in a bunch of stuff. So I was looking forward to him. All right, let's take a quick pause. We've got a commenter, a viewer, John Gillen. Yo, how's it going? Again, hashtag road to 1,000. John, you always support us. You never fail to come in with the needed comment. Road to 1,000. Now, John, I know you're a young dude. We're talking spoilers about the Suicide Squad. So if you plan on watching that, and I know your mother, she's not going to let you watch that. You don't want it spoiled. Give a like and then I need you to tune out, buddy, because if you haven't seen it, now if you've seen it, stay on, man. Enjoy.
Or if you
enjoy
don't
the
care about spoilers, some people don't care,
Yeah, if you don't care about the movie,
you go the AD route where you watch the spoilers before the movie.
Yeah, no way. I don't want it spoiled, man. But you're right, Polka Dot Man. Really, I think they focused a lot on him, and with good reason. He's a great actor. He's a good diversion from Idris and from Peacemaker and all that. A lot more quiet and more reserved. And he was, literally, what's his superpower? He throws polka dots.
And it was honestly, like I said, I was not expecting very much from him, but like his powers were kind of cool. It was kind of weird when he started bubbling up on his face and like he has to like actually throw him up and get him out. But like when he uses his powers, they were actually pretty useful. Yeah.
Oh no. He can melt things, and he can he can disintegrate a lot of things.
Explosions.
Yeah. It was great. Now I think again, and what was cool is they had that running joke about his mother.
Yeah.
That he pictures his mother everywhere he goes, and that's why he can do the things he does. But I think when they were doing that dance scene and all the mothers showed up, man, that was like,
so weird because he was going
so weird
because he was dancing. He was enjoying his time, and then you just see his. I like how they did that because, like you said, I guess his mom was like a scientist in Star Labs, which is like in the Flash like universe. Mm-hmm. So like she experimented on the kids and stuff, but like I think I forgot who made the joke. I'm pretty sure it was John Cena because he had a lot of like good one-liners.
Oh yeah,
but he was like, all right, Norman Bates, like you know what I mean, like
oh that's right.
And that was like such a perfect description because it was like, yeah, you have some weird thing with your mom, bro.
Yeah. No, you know what? I didn't even pick up on that, but yeah, he did call him Norman Bates, and that was classic. And I'll tell you, John Cena surprised me in this, man, because
John Cena was phenomenal in this. Actually,
I will eat my comments. I had said in my trailer review or reaction that the one guy I was worried about was John Cena. I thought overexposure to John Cena, I think, was one thing that was happening, and everything he's done, he was so wooden in his performance. And so like on Fast 9, I know he didn't get good reviews there. But the great thing about James Gunn is I think he recognizes what John Cena can bring and lets him be that toy, that caricature of Mr. Soldier, over the top, cartoonish child, that doesn't know anything.
I think John Cena is a very like, he's good in these like funny roles. I don't think he's really good in the more serious roles. I think he's actually really good in like a role like this, where even at the end, like it did get kind of like serious, and he did have like a soldier's vibe.
Right.
But I think that's what like the comedy throughout the movie, and like it kind of makes you like him, and then there's this turn where you kind of don't like him at the end of it, and I think that helps a lot. And I think that's one reason why. We'll talk about it later, but he's getting his own spinoff off of this.
Yeah,
and I feel like Idris should get one as well.
Oh yeah, but he was very interesting.
Really good. He was really good in this.
But Idris is a phenomenal actor, and he never mails it in. He's always got a good performance. Even
in movies where they're not that good, he's pretty good in them.
Yeah, for sure. So Polka Dot Man steals the show. But I had tweeted, the guy who made me laugh the most was Milton. Now, I don't have a picture of Milton. I wish I did.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. to Milton. But that was one of those other laugh out loud moments where, honestly, and I've told people, I don't talk through movies. Yeah. I usually sit, watch, observe, I laugh, whatever. I don't like to talk through them. Me and my kids were talking through the whole damn movie. We're like, where's Milton? Milton's right behind him. Why is Milton with this guy? What? They took away his weapon. And then all of a sudden, and then they had the whole 3 or 5 minute discussion. Milton's dead. Do you know who's Milton?
Who's Milton? And she's like, oh, Milton.
And then she called Idris Milton at the end there.
At the end, he's like, that's not my name. Yeah, I was gonna bring that up, but I saw your tweet, so I knew you were gonna bring him up.
Yeah.
But Polka Dot Man's one of my favorite scenes was when Milton died, and he was like, he felt for Milton. He's like, when did you and Idris asked him, like, when did you and Milton hit it off? He's like, we've been friends since the start.
Like why do you? It's funny. I think somebody said, like, why didn't you stay with the bus? Why was he with us? He was helping us. I was like, what did he bring to the table?
That was what this movie did really well with, like, calling out moments like that. Even in the beginning when they introduce Idris's character and they go through his backstory, he's like, he's very good with guns. His father, like, trained him in a sense, and then they introduce John Cena and they say the exact same backstory, and he's like, you effing with me right now? He does the same thing I do. Like,
yeah, like, if I'm here for the specialist on this, why do you need him, right? Oh my God, that was great. And then, ultimately, now the Starro character,
yeah,
I didn't know anything about, so I was pleasantly surprised on Starro. But God, man, they had an evil aliens vibe about that. His little things coming out at people, and he's controlling people. A real Walking Dead type feel when they get to those final scenes. But I was shocked because he's so cartoonishly big and ridiculous, but at the same time, James Gunn gave you that fear factor on how potent this guy really is.
I think it had to do with, I think the most gruesome scene was when they get into the lab and you see the dude just, like, with his body, half of his body cut off, and it's just, he's still alive because of the starfish on his face.
Right.
But also they don't give him depth in terms of, like, what they're doing throughout, or, like, when they introduce him and kind of when they're fighting him. But at the end, the last line where he's like, I was happy just looking at the stars, like, that one line gives that character so much depth, because then you realize, like, oh, not only was the Suicide Squad dragged into this, so was he.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He's just like them. He was just a means for somebody to take over the world or to have control. And and see, that's, again, the power of James Gunn is anchors that emotion in a character that is cartoonishly and ridiculously large. Like, I mean, again, it's a freaking starfish, a giant starfish with an eye, walking around, look like the power, like honestly, this could have been the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been just him destroying little buildings that were fake and, in a rubber suit. But in James Gunn's hands, this takes a whole different level. And the action sequences were amazing. I know I watched the featurette just before the movie where they showed those red cameras that they're using, and how he's slinging them around, and he's, so, like, all the scenes he tried to do as many practical as he could with the camera angles and everything. And it's the technology of these red cameras. I didn't know anything about it. My son, he studies cameras and stuff. He was like, oh no, I want a red camera. They're expensive. It's brand new. But they're light and they're small. But yeah, you saw how he used the camera angles and the techniques. Just really, really, really great. And
even when Rick Flag and Peacemaker were fighting, how they shot it off the helmet. I thought that was probably my favorite shot of the whole movie. I was like, don't tell, because the helmet was just there, and I was like, don't tell me they're gonna show the fight through the helmet's eyes. And I was like, wow.
And they just went around the helmet as they went around. That was brilliant, because if they were pulling punches, you didn't see it. But I think that gives it that one take feel where it's not chopping it up. That's the other thing too. The fight sequences, the action wasn't shaky cam. It was pretty clean lines, and the action was just ridiculous. Like, they had, I think when they blew up that building or they knocked it down, just a great sequence, and running through the building trying to get out, and the stuff that you saw in the trailer, obviously, when they're jumping out of the building. But yeah, emotional depth was there. And then all of a sudden, James Gunn said, I'm gonna get you for one more. And he finally says, I'm a superhero.
I'm a superhero.
I'm a superhero, guys. And he's looking around. I said, no, don't look around. And that was it.
Bodied by Starro.
Yeah, exactly. Starro says, Thanks for nothing, Mr. Polka Dot Man.
That's another thing when they turned Starro into his mom. That was hilarious. He's like, He's like, "That's your mom," and he looks up, and it's just her destroying the building.
Right, and he's all like, "Ah!" I mean, but that's what I'm saying. It's like it's little things like that this movie did really, really well. I enjoyed it. I've watched the featurette. I've watched a couple of Easter egg videos, and I even watched like a condensed version of a movie reaction sort of walkthrough.
Yeah.
And so I enjoyed it, and I'm going to watch it again. Now, Mama Llama was a little nervous about watching it. In fact, I was nervous for her watching it after our Mortal Kombat experience. Remember that story?
Yeah.
She, because someone's like, it's as bad as Mortal Kombat, even worse. And I was like, oh dear God, if she sits down and watches a movie with us and there's guys being, and I remember the trailer where they split the guy in half. So I said, okay, if that's any indication of what this movie is going to be, I need to give her some warning. And we did, and she said, no, I'm not going to watch it with you guys. And then after we watched it, we're like, listen, it's so cartoonishly fun. You can handle it. You can handle it. So, oh my God. So
even Ratcatcher too, though. I think that was I really liked Polka Dot Man, but I think her storyline gave the whole movie like that even more depth, because we get the Taika Waititi like cameo where he's Ratcatcher 1, and he has like the pretty much, I guess, what would you say, like the underlying tone of it when he's talking about, like, she asked him like, why rats? And he said like, rats are like, he's like, if they have purpose, then we all have purpose. And I felt like that was like the perfect way to explain the Suicide Squad. Like these ragtag characters and like what they're doing actually means something in the long run.
Yeah, and that's, you're right. That's exactly what it was, is that no matter what's stock in life you're in, all of us have a value, and rats have a value, and everyone has a value, and so that's why he worships these the rats, and he helps work with them. At first, it was I was like Idris Elba. I was like, oh, rats.
Yeah,
and the I mean, again, I wasn't in the movies, but the Dolby Atmos track has those rats running from one side of your ear to the other. And dude, in the house, you're hearing these rats. Oh, I was just like, "Don't, dear God, no, stop it!" But it was great. It was great because I don't particularly like rats, and I don't think anybody does. But Ratcatcher was sort of the emotional anchor for the whole movie.
Yeah,
because I honestly kept saying to myself, James Gunn can't kill her. Like, he can't. He's put too much emotional investment in it. Now, if he does, it's a tearjerker moment for everybody. But that, I don't think he wanted to go there. I think the tone was enough. I think your most emotion came from Polka Dot Man.
That, and I think the John Cena turn.
Oh yeah.
I took that, like, I was like, damn, like I was really liking the character in that moment when he turns, and like, I mean, I was gonna say spoiler alert, but obviously, spoilers. When he kills Rick Flag, like, I thought that was like the most emotional moment to me. You know what I mean? I was like, damn,
because you see that the mission means everything to him.
Yeah,
doesn't matter what.
That's when you remember too, like, oh, these are villains, and that's a villain. Like, he's just doing villain things.
Yeah,
he's doing whatever means necessary, and clearly, it's fun. I think it goes back to like the joke where Idris is like, he does the same thing as me, but he made it very clear that Amanda Waller like pulled him aside, was like, hey, I need you to make sure this doesn't get out by any means necessary. And he kills, and I think they did a better job with Rick Flag this movie. Like, they kind of make him care about him a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, even with like the Harley, like them trying to save Harley, which I thought was a hilarious scene. Like, you guys were trying to save me. It's like, I could go back up and wait.
Oh no, and Harley had her moments too. She had, I mean, I was surprised she took out the president guy. Yeah, that was a bit shocking to me. I mean, but you have to be reminded that she is a psychopath. Like, there's nothing more to that. Is that she is psychotic, and it's a reminder. You know what it reminds me of is, and I know it has nothing to do with comic books, but it reminds me of The Sopranos. Yeah. If you watch The Sopranos, you love the character of Tony Soprano. You love some of these characters because they're funny. They've got great taglines and everything, but every couple of episodes, the creator, David Chase would always show you an evil dark side to these guys to remind you that these aren't good guys. These aren't good people. Even though you like them, they're not good people. And so there was always a constant reminder that Tony Soprano was evil, that Tony Soprano is not a good guy. And so it's the same thing here. It's a constant reminder with Harley that she's not well and is not a good person, even though she's sort of jumped from villain, right, pure villain to anti-hero. Which I think everybody wants that. Everyone wants an anti-hero, but I think that's a great reminder. Like, she's pretty psychotic, and you got to. And she
gives a good point, because, and that's one thing I think about, not only her performance, but she's taking this Harley character away from like being Joker's girl. You know what I mean? Like, before Margot Robbie, it was, you had to see Harley with the Joker. Now we've gotten 3 movies already with her without the Joker. I mean, I count the Suicide Squad because they cut a lot of like Jared Leto scenes, but I also think about how like she needs a better Joker. Like, when they do introduce the Joker character with her, she needs a better Joker that's gonna match how good she is as Harley.
Yeah, and that's gonna be tough, because the dynamic between the Joker and Harley, even though in the comic books is very subordinate, very submissive, she is the second fiddle to Joker. Joker is always the alpha, but Margot Robbie has stamped herself as sort of a woman on her own and an alpha in her own right. So she can't have a less than stellar Joker that she will either team with or work with, but not be submissive to. Now, she may fall for certain things, right? Because that's her character MO, but she definitely needs a top-notch Joker. Otherwise it's not going to work. And that's the fear, right? With her and Harley Quinn, she's taken it way above anybody's expectations. And so it's now tough to sort of reposition her in where she truly is in the comic books. Yeah. So the movie, kills off everybody. Starro gets defeated. John Cena, we appear and think he meets his demise
with the smaller bullet that goes through his bullet.
With the smaller bullet that goes into the bigger bullet, right? Which is, it's again a callback to a funny scene. But then we find the big reveal in the post-credit scene that John Cena is still alive. And the funny part is, when I saw John Cena take the bullet to the neck, I thought for sure, I said, okay, the Peacemaker series is a prequel.
Yeah.
And my sons were like, yeah, it's gotta be something where you learn about how he became who he is, and how you ended up here. But looks like he definitely will reprise the role. He's got an HBO Max series, Peacemaker, that's coming out. I think they've already shot season 1.
Yeah, I think it's coming out, which I didn't hear about this until after I started like searching some stuff. I was like, oh man, he's getting, because obviously I saw the what do you call it, the post-credit scene, because it is post-credit scene where he's still in the hospital alive. But yeah, it's coming out in January. I didn't realize how close it was, so maybe it was just me who like missed out. But I was like, damn, like clearly they have. Oh snap, big homie, what up, brother?
Big homie, welcome to the show. Road to 1,000. Yes, sir.
But yeah, so I thought it was dope, and I think this is going to be the new trend for everything, because I even heard about like a reboot of the Power Rangers, and they're going to get not only a movie, but they're going to get on, I think, the Paramount like streaming service. They're going to get a show that ties into the movies. So I think that's like the new trend of doing these shows and movies. But James Gunn is directing 5 of these episodes. The first 5, I believe. So I'm curious. Not curious, but I'm just excited to see what he does with the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the new model, right? Moving forward for most properties now, movies are not sufficient. You need supplemental content. You need these TV shows, and they're wildly successful. If you like the movies, you'll love the shows, is what people are banking on. And John Cena's character has proven that it's going to be a pretty fun time to watch him just be him, right? To be Peacemaker. And I think it's going to be so cartoonishly ridiculous, the stuff that he does for freedom, right?
Yeah.
That it's going to be great. It's going to be great. So again, John Cena did shock me, and now I am interested in the Peacemaker series. I wasn't before, but having built him up in this movie, I'm ready. I'm ready to watch him, take care of business.
So what would you rate Suicide Squad?
Oh, dude, this movie is somewhere between a B+ and an A-.
Yeah,
I mean, it's up there. It's up there. And again, I look at it from the lens of what's its purpose and why are we watching it and what is it trying to do, and essentially just entertain you and have fun. It's not trying to world build. It's not trying to become Marvel's Avengers or anything. It really is just telling this story about these ragtag group in a funny, violent, gorish way that just makes sense. And like I said, I've not enjoyed a movie like this in a while, where I'm laughing out loud. I'm just in awe of how ridiculous certain things are, and shocked. And again, it was great. It was, it had everything that I was looking for in a movie. So between a B+ and an A- is somewhere where it would sit.
Yeah. In my 1 through 10, I gave it an 8, and I was like, man, like this movie's worth watching. If you haven't watched it already, if you somehow made it through the spoiler review and haven't watched it, I would watch it in theaters, because I think this movie was meant for theaters. You know what I mean? Like, I watched it on my computer because I was just trying to watch it before a recording. But if I watch it again, I definitely want to go check it out in theaters, because it was such a good movie that it'd be worth the money. You know what I mean? You got to support these movies.
Yeah, I think this is what I'm going to definitely. I want to go see it in IMAX now because of the Starro scenes and the scenes with the buildings. I definitely want to check it out now, because now I need to see it in its full glory. I had fun with it in my house, but now I definitely want to see it in the biggest screen possible. So
I forgot who it was, but it was a review. He was like, I went to go watch this in IMAX. I saw John Cena's bulge in IMAX.
Yeah,
I thought that he's like, even Idris was like, why are you naked right now?
Right. There was no reason. And that's the thing. There is no good reason for John Cena to be in his tidy whities, right? In that scene. And all of a sudden, John Cena's bulge right there, right in your face. 80-inch screen, 30 inches of it is John Cena. Thank you so much.
Yeah. The movie was phenomenal though, man.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I honestly, it was one of those movies that I was well entertained. So trust me, definitely recommended by me, and a good time. It's not for everybody though. If you have young kids, no, don't take them to see it. You got to censor just a little bit, but wasn't too bad. All right, so that's the Suicide Squad. Let's talk about what is coming up next. We've got, and this is what's going to happen is now. You ever see like a movie come out, right, and then it like sets the bar?
Yeah.
For all movies after.
Yeah.
The problem, this is what Suicide Squad has done.
If this movie opened up, I was gonna make this point before we started talking about it. But if this was like no pandemic, no COVID, no nothing, and this movie came out, this movie would be probably the biggest movie that came out around the time. I don't know what movies. Yeah. I mean, especially like if we just group the movies that came out already, like with Snake Eyes, Black Widow, like this movie kind of poops on all of them. Oh, so you're right. Like any movie after is gonna be like this is one of the best movies of the year so far.
Yeah,
for sure.
And unfortunately, a lot of comic book movies are going to try to use comedy, and
I mean they did after like Guardians of the Galaxy. It was the same effect, you know. What I mean?
Yeah, but like all right, so it's got to be appropriate for the content and the material. So this is why I think this next one that we're going to talk about right now is going to suffer. I think is the new Venom. Let There Be Carnage. They're banking way too much on the comedic aspects, or at least that's what they're hinting in their trailers.
Yeah, I can see that.
Two trailers have come out. The first one, I poo-pooed on the first one. Like I said, I don't like Venom singing, let's call the whole thing off, cooking breakfast
Yeah.
As the first opening scene. Like I get it. They're getting along a little bit better, but Venom is a vicious killer, and you like reducing him to comedic relief. And now you're introducing Carnage, which is the huge extreme.
Yeah.
And so they're not going to, my fear, I hope it's good. I don't want to say it's going to be terrible. My fear is it's such a polarizing extreme.
Yeah.
You've got too much comedy on Venom's side, and you've got way over the top psychoticness with Carnage. It's not. I don't know. Maybe they can Suicide Squad it and pull it off, but I don't know. I'm not sold.
I mean, our only hope is that all the comedic stuff is in the trailers, because one thing when they show Carnage, and I think it's in the second trailer, because on Spider-Man Day we didn't get a Spider-Man trailer, but we did get this one, so It was kind of like, it was dope. But when he he's in his full Venom suit, Carnage shows up, and then Venom like turns him back into Eddie Brock, and he's like, that's a red one. Like it in the comic books, or like even the Spider-Man animated series, Venom is not like that. Venom is ready for a fight. Venom wants to fight. Venom is Carnage, just not as psychotic because he's not fused with the psychotic being, but he is that bloodthirsty. So like you said, it seems like they are trying to make this Venom a little bit funnier, a little bit lighthearted, because they want to make an anti-hero out of Venom. And I think it suffers, like Venom suffers without Spider-Man, because basically he's playing like Spider-Man's role.
Exactly. And I get it. Like, I don't mind the first Venom, right? Like the first Venom is establishing how he becomes what he becomes, but he was never a good guy.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you know comics better than I do. I don't ever remember like reading like, Venom is the misunderstood, bad guy or misunderstood superhero. He was a bad dude, and
Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock was like the bully. He was a dickhead. You know what I mean?
You take the worst out of somebody's personality, and he amplifies it. And so that's why Venom was always, against Spider-Man, because they were complete polar opposites in their thinking. Eddie wants the power. Eddie enjoys the power.
Yeah.
And Venom just enhances it. And so that's why you're right. I think they're just trying to make him an anti-hero. The fact that that's where that same scene you talked about, where he jumps out of the suit and says, "No, that's the red one." Like, come on, man. Like, you can't do that. Like Venom should have just bowed up and said, "Let's go." Maybe he could have said, "That's the red one," as he goes at him. But like, I don't know. Yeah. Like, it just two trailers. Now again, Woody Harrelson may elevate this movie.
I think so. From what I've seen, like, he is the perfect fit for a Carnage. What's his name? Cletus Cassidy. He's like the perfect person for that, because he can play that deranged like psychopath. And the Carnage suit looks amazing. Yeah. I just feel like I think, honestly, I didn't think about it until you said it, but when I was watching it, I was kind of annoyed by like the funnier Venom parts, because I just know what Venom is. And for this movie, like, you have to have like two, not psychopath. You got the psychopath of Woody Harrelson, but you got to have like a savage out of Venom for this fight. And there's another like symbiote, the female symbiote. It's like it's gonna be weird. I mean, I'm hoping they pull it off, because Carnage is one of my favorite villains out of all Spider-Man. I mean, he's probably the scariest one. Like, I remember when I was younger, like, even in the animated series, like, he was a psychopath. So it's like, I want to see it done right. I don't know.
Well, it's they have the right actor. Woody Harrelson can play a psychopath. I mean, and in the trailers and in the footage we've seen so far, definitely somebody that can definitely hold his own, and he's believable in that role. So I don't have a problem with Woody Harrelson. It's going to be, Eddie Brock and Venom, how they react. And again, if it's all jokes and it's all type stuff, it's gonna fall flat on its face. Yeah. Now, again, this is why Suicide Squad works, is because you have minimal to no expectations of these characters. They're sort of telling you what they're going to be and how they interact, and they're cartoonish. But Venom and Carnage are established properties and have very, very specific attributes and characteristics. And
not only that, they're like, out of the Spider-Man universe, they're some of the most popular villains.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. So again, I'm excited for the movie. I mean, definitely going to see it. I don't care what the reviews say. I'm going to check it out. But now there's 2 trailers in a row that I've said the same thing. So to me, that theme seems to be continuing. Now, I know Sony changed a lot of things in between Venom trailers last time. I think there was complaints about the voice, the Venom voice, and they fixed that. And I think there was even a complaint about the body structure when he was forming up. And they sort of tweaked on it a little bit. But yeah, no, again, Venom, I hope it does really well. But you're right, it's definitely missing a Spider-Man.
I think that's why Venom is so anti-heroish, because there is not that Spider-Man contrast. Because Spider-Man would be making the same jokes that Venom's making. You know what I mean? And then you can play Venom a little bit more serious. But another thing too is like there are a lot of comedic parts, but this movie seems like it's going to be very dark. And the storyline they're going from the comic books is a very dark storyline. So I just want to see a good balance out of it. If they do it right, you know what I mean? If they find a way to mix it in, because like it's like 2 different movies when you think about it. Like all the Venom scenes are like pretty funny. You know what I mean? You got the like where he threatens the cashier lady because she didn't buy chocolate, or like they punch the ex's fiance in the face and he's like, "Oh, I gotta go." You know what I mean? You got that, and then you got the Woody Harrelson, like him about to die in the deathbed. Yeah. And Carnage comes out, and then you just see like the Carnage looks menacing. So it's like it seems like 2 different movies right now.
Yeah, like I said, I think they're just trying to appease people who want comedic elements in there.
Yeah.
I want it to be dark. I want it to be gritty. I want it to be scary, because that's what Carnage is, and that's what I want to see. So let's hope that the next couple of trailers that come out, I think there'll probably be one more big trailer, and then there'll be a bunch of TV spots. I forgot what the release date is. I think it's pretty soon, isn't it? Isn't it like?
So it was supposed to be September 23rd,
right?
Which in the most recent trailer they changed it, and I think they took it off the website, but they put it like for the fall. So maybe the Delta variant going around, numbers rising. Maybe we shut down again, or movie shut down, and if that happens, that's going to be, because even then, like the beginning of the trailer said in theaters only. So that means they're going to push this back until theaters are fully open.
Yeah, and the good thing they have is that they're not tied to a larger story, and that's and you know what, we weren't planning on talking about it, but we should talk about that now. Like this Delta variant business is going to impact Marvel big time if things are not changing. So
I think they're in a better position than they were last year when this hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now they got the established streaming service. We've already got a lot of movies that have come out on different streaming services, so we're kind of getting a little accustomed to it. But overall numbers, and then like what we talked about last week with like the suing of the properties because of money reasons and like negotiations on contract, it is going to cause a lot of problems for all these studios.
Yeah, and here's my take. I don't think theaters will shut down. I think this again, whether you agree or disagree with what happened during the pandemic, this is not here nor there, but I don't think, because it was so polarizing with people and businesses and families and life, that I don't think we're going to go to a global shutdown like we did before. I do think there'll be more restrictions.
Yeah.
Down the line, I think there will be more requirements.
The masks are definitely coming back.
I think. And so what you're going to have is, if they start to implement the density issues like social distancing again, you're going to have theaters that can only accommodate X amount of guests. Yeah. They're not going to shut them down. I think the theater owners are not going to let that happen. But you're going to have theaters that are going to require social distancing. I had heard that some are going to require vaccination proof. Stuff like that is going to just create havoc. But it will impact the dollars. It will pay. It's going to be an impact, so that and that's why Marvel is in a decent position because every single one of their properties they can sell on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And they can make, and the bad part is, anything on WB or Warner Brothers, they can't sell them. They've been HBO Maxing them as part of the subscription service. That's a problem. And now Sony doesn't have a place to land.
Yeah. I think Paramount, no? Or maybe just HBO Max, because I think like the Spider-Man movies are on there.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe that's but you're right. It's going to impact the box office numbers. But again, I would say the mood of the country is that they don't want to shut down. They don't want these things to be as restrictive as they were, even if they're needed or necessary by some people's opinion. I don't think it's going to happen like that again. So, we're in a tough spot. So movies are going to suffer again. The box office numbers are going to suffer, and so you're going to have a lot of people, studios, moving dates and trying to figure out when's the best thing. I just think Marvel is a little screwed right now, except for their next year's lineup, because they can still move next year's lineup. I just think the way that their timetable is set up, they've got too many projects in the hopper that are dependent on each of its releases.
Yeah.
So What If is coming out next this month.
Yeah.
I think next week, right? Right after that, you've got Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi coming out.
So you've got the What If, Shang-Chi back to back. October, there's another series coming out, and then you've got the Eternals in November, and then the culmination is Spider-Man in December. So you've got way too much tied up in 2021 that you cannot push.
And I don't think these movies, I don't think they want Shang-Chi. They definitely don't want Spider-Man to come out on streaming services.
No.
I think they were okay with maybe Black Widow coming out just because in the grand scheme of things and the story-wise, she's already dead. And I think a lot of people were talking about Peacemaker. Like if they didn't show that end credit scene, I don't think the anticipation for Peacemaker's HBO series would have been high either, because they already know the outcome of him. It's not like they're watching it to see what happens. It's kind of like, oh, he's dead, or like she's dead. But like Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man, these are movies that they definitely don't want to come out on streaming services because they put so much into it. And plus, these are Spider-Man's a box office draw.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Sure. That's probably going to be, it might be a bold statement, but that might be the biggest box office opening out of all the movies that come out so far this year.
Listen, the hype is so big. They've got way too much invested in this. They've done exactly what they need to do. Is they've positioned this movie as the must-see event of the year.
Yep.
And so December cannot get here fast enough for some people. And that movie better hit on all cylinders. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't hit on all cylinders. The fact that you have potentially a Spider-Verse or a multiverse or whatever verse, you've got a verse in there. That to me is the most intriguing thing. And you've already have confirmed actors from other Spider-Man franchises. So they've got everything in the right place. Now, all they need is a great trailer. Sony, release it soon. All they need is a great trailer. And I'm telling you, it's going to be like The Force Awakens. I remember when The Force Awakens trailer came out, it was, it was the timing. No one knew much about it except for the actors. The Force Awakens trailer blew up. I mean, it just blew up, and you had to wait a year for that movie to come out because it was coming out in December.
Yeah.
And so the hype, the anticipation, all the things were there, and it's $1 billion movie. Yeah. So, and the reviews weren't that stellar for it. It was good, but it wasn't that great in terms of reviews. I loved it, by the way. But if anyone here is listening as a Star Wars fan, I love Star Wars, and I like The Force Awakens.
I'm a Star Wars fan, but like I didn't grow up with like the older ones. You know what I mean? I grew up with Episode 1, 2, and 3. So to me, those are like my Star Wars movies. And even though people like poop on them and like make it seem like they weren't that good, to me, those are the movies I grew up on. So like Force Awakens and like the movies after that were just continuations of that, and so I loved it as well. I didn't have like the beef with it. I'm not a Star Wars purist.
There you go. I wasn't I'm not a purist. I mean, I can appreciate the love for the originals, right? Like I get it. That's what started most people. I think I was just born a year after it came out, so I wasn't the kid in the theater who saw it, the opening day. But I can appreciate that. But you know what? The prequels, for as much hate as they got,
they're really good.
They're pretty darn good. Like if I get it. Like that was the start of the fandom being, a little bit whiny, when the first one came Jar Jar Binks and stuff. But if you go back and watch those now, they're pretty entertaining. The stories
episode 3 was a fantastic movie. When you see the turn, and it was like, to me, I mean, besides the part where like Obi-Wan's like he killed younglings. And it pauses.
That was terrible acting by Ewan McGregor. Like, he killed younglings. Ugh. You just pause like, come on, man. You could done that. You can phone that one in, man.
I'm sure they had other takes. It was like, I guess this works.
The guy in the editing room was just like, okay, how many times are you gonna say younglings and like not do anything? And then his voice broke. It's like, younglings. Okay, that's a good take. Take it. That's it. Wrap it up. Put it in the movie. We're done. No, but listen, man. Everybody has opinions on everything, and that's what's great about this world is that we can have that. We can have disagreements, and we could have that. But again, the Carnage movie, the Venom 2, I hope it gets better in the trailers. COVID is going to impact movies, no matter what we think. And vaccination and mask mandates, all that stuff is still hotly debated. There's not a unified message on that. So until that gets resolved, we're going to continue to see delays and things. I think, unfortunately, everything's going to be at your own risk.
Yeah.
I think that's the final outcome is like, all right, Delta variant be damned, because right now schools are opening tomorrow or in the next couple of days. The variant's going up through the roof and it affects children.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Your choice. Figure it out. Mask, wear them if you want to. Don't wear them. Vaccines, get them if you want to or don't get them. I think we're beyond the point of anyone unifying and saying we all have to do the same thing. Yeah. Nobody cares about that stuff. I think, and for me, I'll do what's best for me and in my opinion and in my world, and I could care less what anybody else does. That's been my motto the whole time. Like when people are like, why are you wearing a mask? I'm like, because I want to. Just leave me alone. I don't care what it means or what it doesn't mean. Just I choose to wear one. That's great. But it's the common cold. Oh, okay, shut the hell up about that stuff. You know what I mean? I can't stand that stuff. All right. Let's transition to our next topic. And was this tonight? Was this the UFC 265? Was that tonight or was it yesterday?
No, that was last night.
It was last night. It says August 8th, and I got so confused.
Yeah. Huh.
But this is the card from ESPN, so maybe they have a replay tonight. I don't know.
Oh, that could be. That could definitely be.
Yeah, maybe it's a replay.
I just wanted to talk about the heavyweight fight, Lewis against Gane, because I don't know how. Do you watch UFC at all? No, really.
I'm a casual fan. I don't watch it as often. If it's a big name, big fight, I'm on it. But here I see the word interim heavyweight championship. Tune me out. I'm like,
So that's where it gets kind of interesting, because the dude Gane, who won the fight, and Lewis is he has the most knockout. I think the most knockouts in heavyweight, like the history of heavyweights. He has the most knockouts. So this guy can put people to sleep. But this Gane guy is like 245. Like he seems like the next evolution of heavyweight, where they're like he's like super light on his feet, agile. But the storyline now that he is the interim heavyweight championship, Francis Ngannou, who is the heavyweight championship, they were teammates in France.
Oh wow!
And Ngannou left and started training somewhere else, and this guy beat. I mean, I think the strikes were like 100 and 115, 110 to 8 in last night's fight. So this guy had pure dominance, and I think him fighting Ngannou, you got a huge storyline, but also I think this guy has the ability and the athleticism to beat Ngannou because Ngannou's thing is like he puts anybody to sleep. Like his power is unmatched.
Right.
But I think this guy's athleticism and like the way, I mean, Derek Lewis, I mean, he has the most knockouts in heavyweight history, so he can put people to sleep. This guy didn't land a significant punch the whole fight, and it I think it only lasted 3 rounds. And the way, like, the guy just kept him at bay with like good kicks. He was just using his, like I said, athleticism. I keep saying that, but like that's what it was. It just showed like I think it showed the evolution of the sport, because like in normal heavyweight, especially for the UFC, they're like kind of like bigger guys. I mean, the weight cap is 265, and this guy comes in at 245. And I also think not only if his fight with Ngannou is a huge storyline, but I think him fighting John Jones, who has moved up to heavyweight, which is like he's regarded as like one of the greatest UFC fighters in history, especially at the light heavyweight division.
Right.
He's supposed to fight Ngannou. That's supposed to be like the super fight. But I think if they fight, Gon and Ngannou fight, and Gon wins, he's gonna give John Jones a lot of trouble. And I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up because I'm a huge UFC fan. So when we talk about topics, I was like, I want to talk about this a little bit. No, I think the story. My bad. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just the storylines are amazing in this, like especially in the heavyweight division. Everybody wants to see 2 big guys brawl it out.
Yeah, but I'm with you on what you're talking about, the athleticism. I know a lot of times, you're getting more and more in shape, highly developed athletes. Like the sport is evolving from just Neanderthals sort of beating each other, right, to skilled fighters who train and are, in top performance shape, that, can now, they can execute those punches. They can definitely, land those knockout blows. And again, if you have this, if you have these guys, these big, big burly guys like me, that's what it used to be. The UFC, when you had the heavyweight division, you had these big fat, out of shape guys. I wouldn't say out of shape, but like they weren't sculpted like some of these guys are. Like, looking at looking at the heavyweight division, you were shocked to see somebody cut up and ripped. And this guy, he is a prime athlete. And so you get in the ring with a prime athlete, you're going to get exactly that. It's someone who's in tip-top shape. And so he can move faster, he's more agile, and that to me is the evolution of the sport, as you're saying. If these guys continue to go this way, you're definitely going to see less and less guys that look like me and more guys that look like that guy, for sure.
Yeah, at the beginning of the UFC, it's like you had the people that were good at like their one skill, whether it be like jiu-jitsu, wrestling. Right. They were very good at that one skill. But now you're getting athletes who are good at all skills. You know what I mean? It's literal mixed. I mean, it's called mixed martial arts, but now they're starting to utilize it. And I think even the evolution of the sport, like this dude's from France, right?
Yeah.
And I think France just legalized like having events, like UFC events over there, and like it got sanctioned like within the last year. So this wasn't even a place that had like the potential to even have the UFC over there. So for some dude who's that strong, that athletic, and I mean he's 9. I think he's 10-0 after last night, but he was 9-0 his first 9 fights. I think he's like one of the first people to win a belt within the first 10 fights of the UFC. So that just shows you where the sports are going. I thought it was interesting. I think going forward, the storylines in the heavyweight division is going to not revitalize in the sense of like the heavyweight division wasn't there. But I think with like Stipe, who was like, I think he was like the longest running heavyweight champion, there wasn't a lot of excitement because you had like Daniel Cormier. Mm-hmm. He was like probably he was probably one of the more popular fighters in the heavyweight division. And I mean, he blew up because of his fights with like John Jones going down the light heavyweight. And I think he was also like the first champ to win 2 belts. But now I think this is gonna, like, especially with like, I think it was a perfect storm of like the pandemic hitting and the UFC still putting on fights because they were the only sport that was putting on fights. Yeah. So they've grown within the last year, I think probably more than they've grown in the last 10. So I think we're just gonna continue to see the sport go in a positive trajectory, and we're gonna see these storylines play out and see these. We're going to get some massive fights in the next 2 years.
Yeah, and I'll say this, again, the perspective of the casual fan, what I'm missing, and I know it's on ESPN, and I know that it's got more exposure to, mainstream media and the masses. what we're missing is a personality, like like a Conor McGregor, like a Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell. And I'm old school. I'm saying these old guys' names, but and listen, within the sport, I'm as I look over the card, I'm sure that these guys are top notch.
Yeah.
But for the casual fan like me, I don't see anything that's sort of drawing me like again, I always use Mike Tyson as a great example, right? Mike Tyson was a spectacle.
Yeah.
And Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell was a spectacle. It was a brash, they did the WWE stuff. They would trash talk, they would get across. And so you would see in articles and in internet postings that they were in each other's faces. They had a fight, a scuffle, and that starts to generate like, I need to see this guy. Now, again, Gagne could be very, very good at what he does, and he's 9-0 and goes to 10-0. But Gagne looks like any other UFC fighter to me.
But that's the thing too. He speaks French, so it's like he needs a translator. He's not going to cross over like they would want. And I think that's why they were excited that John Jones moved up, because John Jones is that. When I was growing up, John Jones was the guy. Everybody was talking about John Jones. Him and DC goes down as like one of the greatest rivalries in probably sports history. I don't even want to just limit it to the UFC, because like these guys were fighting in like actual press conferences. They're like, one of the most famous clips is like they're doing like an interview, and John Jones like, "Hey DC, you still there, pussy?" or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like these like clapbacks. So I think just, and even like the UFC, it seems like it's 51% entertainment, like 49% fighting. You know what I mean? Like they're an entertainment company, man. And you're right. Like for casual fans, you need that like that high energy shit talking Conor McGregor style like thing.
Right. You need me to catch wind of it and say, "Oh, I got to check this. I got to spend the money."
Yeah, must see. It's must see.
All right. Well, listen, I know someone who's been waiting patiently to get a shout out. Lenny. MVP says, "Sorry I'm late. Was watching Superstar." So for those of you late to this party, late to this show, Lenny is our reigning MVP. But I think Lenny's wife took the MVP title from him the other night.
She threw him under the bus.
And so, Lenny, what's up, buddy? Thank you so much. Yes. And shameless story. I went and rewatched Superstar. So here's the story behind that. I didn't have my copy. I lost my original DVD that we
the first DVD you ever
my
bought.
First DVD ever bought. I lost it. I don't have it. It's not in my collection. So I said, you know what? It's important for this show, and the reason my voice is cracking, and I'm a little ashamed to say this. I went and I bought it on a streaming service. I went and I spent money on it. So I
went full circle.
Oh my God. I went and I bought it off of Vudu or something like that. I bought the actual physical copy. I mean the digital copy, and I watched it. And I watched it with my youngest son. And it's a terrible movie. Oh my God. The movie was terrible. Oh,
that's hilarious.
Oh my God. I'm telling you, so listen, this is where I'll use my podcast voice, so keep it down for the people in my house. So I'm watching Superstar, and again, it's terrible, it's silly, it's very dated. But Molly Shannon's performance when she's hugging and kissing trees, I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
But it turns way too sexual. Like she's like doing all kinds of stuff to the tree. And I'm watching it with a 13-year-old thinking, okay, this is going to be fun. And I had that cringe moment where I'm like looking over at him like, do you get what she's saying or doing? He kind of looked away from me. So I knew he knew exactly what she was saying and doing. So I got embarrassed. But I watched it. I watched that. For the purposes of the Big Llama show, I watched it. I enjoyed it.
So
It's
not once,
movie.
but twice you have purchased this movie.
I purchased this movie twice in my lifetime. So that takes all credibility away from me as a movie critic, as a movie aficionado. I can sit here and say I've bought it twice. Yes, thanks for bringing that to full circle and light in front of everybody.
Oh man.
Oh my God. All right. So what I think we're done with our topics, but so we're like in the post show here. One thing I will say is, so in our adventure, so I will repeat us. Oh, here goes Lenny. You need help. Intervention.
An intervention. Yes, he does. Yes, he does, Lenny.
Oh my God, yes, I do. Where's Mrs. Lenny? Where's she at? I need her to rescue me from you in your intervention.
Let's not forget Lenny owns the movie too.
Well, yeah, yes, he does. Yes, he does. They were quoting it in the last show for sure. Oh my God. So in my quest to do the podcast, I was, I surfed around and I found the podcast service. And for those of you joining late, again, we're going to be on a podcast every week. We've already have episodes out. I also applied to be in the Hollywood Critics Association. I applied. I don't meet the criteria, but I applied, and they haven't written me back. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's see. Lenny here again says, "Did y'all catch the Val Killer Dog? Was that the Val Kilmer? I think he's saying Val Kilmer." Because I know I did a trailer. Let's see. I can't find it. Was looking for it. I hope I can. Hope I can't find it. You talking about Val Kilmer, Lenny? Let me know, because I know I did a trailer reaction to the documentary for Val Kilmer. That's what he wrote here. That to me, I think it's on Prime, Lenny. If you can't find it, it's on Amazon Prime, I believe. I haven't watched it yet, and the reason I haven't watched it yet is I love documentaries, and I love seeing sort of the life and times of people. I think it's fascinating. From the trailer, I found it to be tragic that this guy is an actor. He's got the world at his feet. Good-looking dude in the biggest movies in the 80s and 90s. Even, he was the Batman, right? But he has no voice left. I think he has like throat cancer or something, and now he's got this documentary from his perspective of home movies that he took. Lenny says he just watched it, and Lenny, I tell you, I got to prepare for something like that. I can't just watch I can't watch biopics like that unless I'm in the right mind frame. But I got that one on my list for sure, because stuff like that fascinates me. It's just the life and times of people. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. I mean, do you like biopics or or documentaries, or what's your deal?
So I do like documentaries. But they kind of I kind of gotta know about the story beforehand, and then if it piques my interest, I'll watch it. But I do get very invested in the stories.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I was actually watching it's on Netflix right now, Cocaine Cowboys. I started that last night.
Yeah,
that one seems pretty.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's I think I do have the DVD of that one. But that's because a lot of that stuff happened when I was in Miami.
Yeah.
I actually lived in Miami in the early 80s. And so a lot of the places that you see the killings and everything else, and the Mall of the Americas and all that stuff where they had these shootings.
Yeah.
I was there. I've been there, but not that I was there at the time of the shootings. Just saying, because there are places I've been, I'm so fascinated to see I'm walking amongst the greatest drug cartel killers in my lifetime, which is insane. But yeah, let's see. Lenny here. It's he's talking about the Val Kilmer thing. It is super tragic. On a personal level, it resonated with me on the brevity and stages of life. Yeah, I mean, that to me is what a biography will do, is put life in perspective.
Yeah.
And so, you know, without revealing too much about my personal sort of, you know, work life, you know, I get that perspective every day. So we see that. And so, you know, I'll share something in it. I'm not trying to get deep in the show. You know, the show is not like super deep. It's pretty fun, but
We talk about Superstar a lot.
Right, we talk about Superstar, but I will say, because I've seen a lot of people, you know, go through loss and everything. In my family, we've had a lot of loss. But the way I look at life and the way I look at things is that, and this is just my thought process, and it's not that I have dark thoughts or anything. I just don't think that I'm long for this world. Like, I think, you know, my time here is going to be limited, I think. And so I'm going to do everything I want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do all the things that I've wanted. And it's not because I think I'm going to die tomorrow or anything. It's not dark like that. I just think, like, everyone has their time. And unfortunately, I've now been exposed to, just in my personal life, between having, you know, going from one job to another job, where my old job I thought was life and I dedicated a lot of time to it, to my new job, where it has shown me like life is very, very short.
Yeah.
So don't waste your time. So it was shortly after I got that job, and then I started thinking about what I want to do, that I developed the channel. I said, okay, you know what? If life is short, and if my life happens to be short, what legacy will I leave behind? Right. And again, I don't want to get down to these deep discussions, but it's honestly what I think is that at some point in, you know, this show can leave a lasting legacy to my kids.
Yeah.
If anything, it leaves my voice for people to hear. So that I'll leave it at that in terms of the darkness of it. But you got to think. I think that way. But that's
no. I mean, when I was young, I used to tell my mom, like, my dad, you know, personal thing about me, but my dad died when I was 7. So like that kind of changed like my perspective on life. Like you see that happen, and it's kind of like, wow, we could anytime. And I've had like not only him, but like growing up, I just had like one of my only friends at one of my schools that I went to, 10th grade year, got shot before school. Like, so like I've experienced a lot of death throughout life. And I used to always tell my mom, like, I'm only going to live till I'm 50. Like, I know it. And I don't know why I used to say that. Now I don't feel that as much, because like, I feel like I have a more purpose. I haven't reached what I wanted to do. But as a young kid, I did think like I was going to hit my purpose a little bit early, and I was going to die I always used to say the greats die at 50. You know what I mean? Like all the greats die at 50. But I think it's a good perspective to have, because then you do stuff like start a channel. You know what I mean? Because you life like that, and you want to you want to make your time here valuable, man. And like you say, you want to leave something.
You know what it was too? I played it safe.
Yeah.
Much of my life, I played it safe. I did the safe and right thing to do. I'm still playing it safe, but I'm now indulging in the things that make me feel creative and the things that I want to do, that I've always wanted to do. Yeah. And so something like this channel, podcast, I don't want to be famous. I just want to be relevant.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So let me see what Lenny says. Takeaway number 2, he was an artist, not just a pretty face. Can't wait for the review. Yeah. So as soon as I watch that, I'm definitely going to review it, because like I said, I'm into that stuff. I love biopics. I love people's lives. But yeah, I mean, honestly, you have to have perspective on everything.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I think doesn't frustrate me about making this channel. Like yeah, if you want to be famous and you're doing this for the likes and you're doing this for the subscriptions, you're going to be miserable. You're going to be miserable because it doesn't happen overnight, and it won't happen overnight, and it takes grinding and work. And so for me, it's like, okay, I love this stuff. And today was a great example. Today I spent 45 minutes, almost to an hour, with my wife sitting here doing an interview for my channel.
Yeah.
And and I know it's going to sound corny, but there was a connection, a deeper connection. I think she looked at me differently because she's like, where's this voice coming from? I don't sound like this when I'm walking around. I don't be like walk around my house. Hey, welcome to the Big Llama Show. I don't do that. I'm more reserved, and it's a different perspective. But I think her and I kind of connected in the interview. It was fun. It was light. But it was interests for her. Like it was stuff that she's interested in that I now take interest in. So, again,
I'm sure she sees you. She sees you working. I mean, you post videos every day. You know what I mean? So I'm sure she sees you working, but bringing her into your world, it really shows her that you're taking this not only you're working hard, but you're taking it very seriously. And you know what I mean? Like it has to show a different light. Like I was thinking about this too. Like I told you at the beginning, I streamed a lot this last month, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to do more with content because now we got this show. So I'm like, man, I got to really like put my digital footprint as well. Like not only just have the show with you, but like actually build something so I could bring some more value to this. And there was like 2 days or 3 days. It was like 2 days. And I tweeted about it and you liked them both. But like, I was like, man, today I made 6 hours of content. Or like 7 hours of content. I did it twice. It was 2 days. But like those were like two of the most satisfying days I've had in like a couple years where I'm just like, man, like I really felt satisfied with what I did today in terms of like making the content that I say every day. Hey, I want to do this. But like I actually like sat down and did it. So like, I don't know, man, we're building something, bro. Like we truly are. We truly are.
I mean, this right here tells me, like I said, these are things. Like I'm gonna go right through them. The first one that I have posted here is the KSI Lil Wayne review. It's me and my son.
Yeah.
That time is valuable. It's me and my son enjoying something that he likes. Yeah. So and the interview with my wife today is stuff that she likes. Yeah. And it's not for me, it's for them. I want to enjoy their stuff with them. Yeah. But yeah, I work at it every night. I come home, I make sure the family's taken care of. And then I come in and I do my reviews, my reactions. And trust me, I know that if I was home a little bit more, or if I did this a little bit more often, at least more timely, I could grow the channel a lot faster. But you know what? Life is life, man, and you have to just do it. So I'm glad we're doing the podcast. I'm glad this is happening on Sunday nights because it is just something that will grow organically. And I kept saying that, but and I'll tell you one last thing, and then I think we're going to wrap up for the night. Yeah. I met with a guy, an old friend of mine. We'll call him Labs. That's kind of his name. He called me out of the blue, and we talked for like an hour. I missed the guy, but he was talking to me about the channel, and he's like, hey, you could do this and you can do a giveaway, you can do this and market it this way. And he was starting to open up in his creative mind and juices were flowing. So to me, I was like, wow, this, here's another person who, because of this show, because of me exploring my creative side, now is sort of opening up. And him and I used to do, this is embarrassing, we used to do like Star Wars skits and all that kind of stuff. Oh, look, this is a good question, and we will end the show on this one. Lenny says here, don't want to derail your script, but curious on the Big Llama Blackout AD connection. And that's a good one. That's a good one.
Take it away.
All right. I'll tell the story. So Lenny and anybody who doesn't know, when back a couple years ago, I had a gym. I had a gym that I opened with my good friend Ahmad, one of the best trainers in all of Port St. Lucie. Great guy. We decided to open a gym together, and so did a CrossFit gym. And I think you knew Ahmad before I did, right?
No,
your sister might have known him.
I think my mom. It was. Oh yeah, actually. My mom's friends knew him, and my mom got into CrossFit. So then at that time, I was like training to go, like I had quit baseball, and then I was like going to go play college ball. So I needed a trainer, and that's how I met Ahmad. And then he started bringing me around the gym.
Right. So we met in the gym, and we didn't have it. I'll be honest, we didn't have an instant connection. AD and I think we talked here and there, and I think the only connection we had was my son, who was playing baseball, and me eager to just have him learn from someone. We just talked a little bit, and you had always offered, and this was something that I want to make sure is that I always felt that you had a kind, giving heart, because you were offering him, hey, tell him to come by. We'll do a bullpen together. I think you gave him your glove, right?
I had a lefty glove. Yeah, I had a lefty glove that I didn't even use. I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what? So we'll fast forward the story for you, Lenny. So we had some interaction. We met. I think I know your mom used to work out there. Your sister worked out there. So I knew his family, a little bit, and then we closed the gym. It was a venture that just didn't make money, and too much for me at the time. Yeah. So we closed the gym and we went our separate ways. Now, I think because of the gym connection, AD and I have been friends on Facebook. Yeah. And it wasn't until I decided to do the show that I think AD finally wrote out to me and said, "Hey, man, let's do a review together." And I think you said you didn't think I'd respond.
Yeah, at first, because it was just random. Like, I just saw you started posting a lot of stuff, and like I always talk about, I want to do this. So it just was like, hey, like, and at that time I was like working a lot, like building the Blackout brand and like really like building something with it. So I was like, I need to start like making content. And then the Mortal Kombat, I saw you doing movie reviews. I was like, oh, that'd be a perfect collab, because we could do the Mortal Kombat review, which was the first video we did. And then we started connecting off of that.
Right. And so it's now become like this very, I keep using the word organic because I love that word, but it's become this friendship that's grown out of, I think, mutual respect for each other and admiration for sort of following your dreams. He's still early in his career, trying to find his footing in the digital world. I'm way past my prime, but trying to find my way in the digital world. So together we have this common purpose. Yeah. And so I think that's what sort of brought us together. The dynamics and the partnership worked right away. And I think that first Mortal Kombat review, we found the chemistry that was there. We saw, there was these small moments where we just connect. And so I feel like this is a great partnership moving forward. And that's, I think, the story where we're at now. And now we just keep growing. And, to me, Lenny and you, AD, so to me, it's not about the Llama brand or the big Llama. It's just about us continuing to grow as creative partners. Yeah. So, so Lenny, that's a great question and an awesome way for us to really close out the show. But that's in a nutshell, I think, the story that we have and what we'll continue to grow and build on. I mean, am I wrong or am I close? Or
No, you're right. I mean, I believe in, like, I'm not like a religious person by any means, really, but I do believe in like things happening for a reason, and like us just connecting on this, and like we were talking about earlier, we're 10 episodes in just on this show, and plus the review, so that's 11 videos we made together. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you're still in your first year of making YouTube. I haven't even started my YouTube channel the way I want. So like like you said, we're super early. I just think we have like common goals, and like we're very similar. And there's things that, like we were talking about earlier, but like we're very similar. But we also have, like, I could learn a lot from you in terms of just life, because you've lived longer than me. You know what I mean? You've got more. To me, it's like I don't have that many accomplishments besides baseball. Like this is like the next thing. This is like the next thing I'm really chasing. And like, to me, it's like I found somebody that I can like work with. And like, I know, like I got friends that like they'll play video games with me. You know what I mean? We'll make content through video games, but I don't have anybody that I can like, hey, let's make a video. But I know if I hit you up now, and vice versa, if you hit me up, it's like, hey, let's, not only do we have the Sunday show, but like, let's try this video idea. Let's see, you know what I mean? I think we just found within each other, like someone we could work with on this journey. It's not like we're doing this alone.
No, for sure. So Lenny, that's our story, and that's the way that we sort of came together. Lenny gives us one parting shot. He says, "I've enjoyed hanging out with you both. Lenny, and that's
Appreciate
again,
that, Lenny.
yeah, we appreciate that tremendously. And again, that's the beauty of this show. All right. So again, I will say that we've got a lot of stuff coming up. Please tune in next week. Next week, we got a special guest in studio. SINA will be in the studio with us. And then if you're up tomorrow morning at about 9 o'clock, we have Mama Llama. The interview will drop at 9 o'clock. It will be in this live format. If you are commenting, unfortunately, we will not be able to comment back. It will be a pre-recorded interview session. So again, please join us for that. If not, it will be in our playlist and in our podcasts. Everything will be available. So again, thank you everybody so much for joining us here on the Big Llama Show. It's the Big Llama Show featuring Blackout AD. Again, check out Spotify for the podcast. If you would like to listen to this on a podcast, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure you you subscribe to the channel. That's how you support us. Or you can make a donation in our podcast. We have a make donation button there if you'd like to support the show monetarily. We do not have a Patreon or anything else. But again, we're growing and we
not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. Next is Patreon for exclusive content. Nah, you know what? I think that's it serves its purpose for some things, but we're not there yet. And then so for right now, enjoy the Big Llama Show for free, and until we get picked up on Paramount Plus or one of those streaming services. A man can dream.
Big goals, big goals.
Big goals. All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining me on the Big Llama Show. I'm the Big Llama. He's AD. Thank you so much. Have a nice night, everybody.